Hello and welcome to Radio Free Nintendo. I am James Jones and I'm joined today by Mr. John Lindeman.
Greg Leahy is a coward for watching the draft instead of doing this podcast.
And Mr. Guillaume Vayette.
I wish I was watching the draft right now.
That's fair.
I am in fact watching a draft right now because a local kid just got drafted. So I'm watching at a restaurant I know is I'll be nice. I won't say it. I won't finish that thought. But a bunch of kids wearing Redskins clothes cheering for a guy who didn't just get drafted by the Redskins. Excuse me. Commanders. Look, I grew up with it. It's going to be really, really fucking hard for me to not say, to say Commanders. It just will be forever. I can't help that.
For shame, James.
I'm not that upset about it.
No.
I'll get there. So yeah, last night. I should finish, it's April 24th, 2025, and this is episode 920. Don't help me. Is it 924?
I think you're right. You're right.
Hell yes.
Bam.
Episode 924, and we're going to call this the after party.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of party? Well, bad party. It's one of those kinds of parties.
It's a pre-order party!
Yeah. So, last night, I'm keeping a dead eye stare on my Audacity recording right now. Last night, Nintendo's delayed pre-orders for North America kicked in. So they had, because of the tariff stuff, they pushed their original pre-order date by about 2 weeks. They didn't tell us they were pushing it by 2 weeks. They just pushed it. And eventually they announced that they were going to do them this week. I think they announced it last week. And so various retailers decided how they wanted to handle their allocations. But three of the big box retailers said, we'll do it at midnight Eastern. And GameStop, the kind of player number 4 in this party, in this Mario party, if you will, said, we're going to do it at 11 Eastern on the website.
And the next day.
Yeah, the next day. And we're going to do it when the stores open the next day as well. So, Target, Walmart, and Best Buy all adopt the midnight philosophy. Amazon is not getting them. Amazon does not get Nintendo consoles. There is a story there that I don't entirely understand, but they don't sell them.
Yeah.
So they don't have it.
They didn't have the Switch. Happened during the 3DS or something.
Yeah, this is a long-running thing.
Yeah.
10 plus years. So it was really, if you wanted to pre-order online, it was one of those 4, which is wild. There are some smaller regional retailers that you potentially could do, like a Fry's, but ultimately, those are the big players who Nintendo allocated consoles to. So midnight rolls around, and I'm in the NWR Discord because we're all trying to do it. And Target absolutely fucking melts down. Now, when I say melts down, let me talk about this. Let me give you an example. None of us were able to get Target to work except for me. I was on Target.com. I clicked the link. I was already signed in. There were 3 error messages that said error and then did not have the error text attached to them. I just bravely soldiered on.
Yeah.
It did not auto-populate my address, which was concerning. Because I was signed in. But it let me buy it. Until it didn't. And I got an email 30 seconds later telling me my order had been canceled.
Really?
Then I got an email about 5 minutes after that saying that they got my order.
See, that's interesting because I wonder what would have happened with my order then, or the order that didn't happen, because what did happen is my credit card. So I had very much the same experience as you at Target, where I eventually did get everything into the cart, and I was just sitting there clicking on the place order button, and it just said, sorry, try again. And then eventually they updated the messaging, so you got a pop-up saying, oh yeah, we're having technical problems. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. And so what happened was one of my authorizations on my credit card actually did go through, and I knew that because my credit card blocked it because I thought it was fraud. So
nice.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, wow, it actually worked. Oh no, it didn't. And of course my bank, the text message that you get from my bank, it says, yeah, so, we've declined this due to suspected fraud, but if this was actually initiated by you, please reply yes to this text. And so I reply yes. And they're like, oh yeah, just try it again. I'm like, that's not how this game works. Okay?
No.
You got one shot. This is mom spaghetti. Okay?
Yeah,
This
I was
is
gonna make mom spaghetti.
this you got one shot in this, and otherwise, and sure enough, shortly after that, it went completely out of stock. Actually, Target cleared my cart entirely. They eventually just killed it. And so Target was done, and at that point, it was completely out of stock.
So that website went completely offline multiple times. It
was really gone. Wild West for Target. They had no prep. They had nothing. They put nothing in place.
Error messages that were literally like, there is an error, there is an error, just scrolling across the top of the, like, components that weren't load, like a React component. I don't know if it's React, but like just an example that just didn't load and was just in an error state.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, that's probably bad. The autocomplete for my address didn't work, even though I was signed in. I was like, that's odd.
I was in the app, and first off, I couldn't, because I'm sitting there just like any savvy pre-orderer will, just in case they use different APIs or something like that on the back end.
Oh, yeah.
You bring up the website, and then you also start trying in the app. And so I'm trying in the app, and I could not add a delivery address, and then eventually, I couldn't check out because I couldn't add it. And then eventually it did find my address, but I still couldn't add it. It was just a disaster.
So Target is dead. I mean, fucking dead. Yep. And lots of people apparently got the canceled order emails. So I actually got my canceled order email before I got my confirmation email, which is very funny to me.
That is really funny.
I have confirmed on the website that my order is in a canceled state. I was like, they're not going to actually send me one, and I'll have two of these things, right? I guess I'm spoiling the outcome here. So we're all in the Discord, and like, Target is fucked, but everybody's refreshing on Best Buy because everybody has this feeling that Best Buy is going to keep it together, and Best Buy is just not showing available. Coming soon. And so everybody's like turned their attention to Walmart. The Eye of Sauron has shifted to Walmart. And so Walmart has this weird, like, let me make sure you're not a bot thing where you have to hold down a button.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like a button pops on the screen, you have to hold it down until it tells you to release it. But for whatever reason, it never worked for me. It would always, I would do it, and then it would say, like, error, try it again.
Yeah, well, what it would do for me is I would, hold it down to prove that I'm not a bot, and then it would just cycle, right? Like, you would just get the spinner, right? And eventually I realized that what it had done is I don't know what part of their infrastructure had actually shut me out, but I was bounced from Walmart.com. Like, I could not even get onto Walmart.com, period.
Yes. Like, it was funny because, like, their website was doing fine until Target completely died. Mm-hmm. And then it was like I said, the Eye of Sauron shifted to them, and everything went haywire there. So people were in line.
Yeah, I never even got anything added to the cart for Walmart. It was.
So I was able to get in line, but that was it.
Well,
and
I was able to get in line eventually after.
Yes.
That's what I thought was very strange about Walmart is, it was a shit show for a good hour or so.
Oh yeah,
maybe 45 minutes after, because I was doing this, this was this was 9 p.m. my time, so they really didn't even. It was a complete shit show. I couldn't add anything to cart. It was just there's a technical error. That's the only error I ever got for a good 45 minutes, and then they instituted the inline functionality, which made me wonder why they just didn't do that right off of the bat.
See, I think they did. I think you got into some kind of state where you bypassed the line or something. I don't know. Because, people were getting in line right away.
Really?
What was interesting
I never saw that.
If you were in line and they gave you an estimated time of how long you were still going to be in line, that meant they thought you were going to get one. If not, there was a message that said, we're pretty sure this is going to sell out, but you could stay in line if you want.
Yeah. Okay.
The only way I could get through the stupid, are you a bot check, was to do it on my phone. Mm-hmm. Which got me through the "Are you a bot check?" But around the time I broke through the wall of Walmart, Best Buy finally dinned it was time to put their pre-orders up.
Yep.
And it's like 12:26 at this point. So this has been going for a while.
Yeah, it went up around 9:30 my time.
Okay, yeah. So people in our Discord are like, Best Buy's up, and I'm on the Best Buy store page, and I'm signed in. I've picked my location, and I'm refreshing. And it still says coming soon. I'm like, what the fuck? Are they doing it store by store? So I change my store just out of curiosity. Like maybe mine's just fucked up. And so I changed from the bad Best Buy to the good Best Buy, because there's two in this part of town. There's the bad Best Buy, which is about 20 minutes away. And in fact, I was there on Monday. And the good Best Buy, which is about 20 minutes away in a different direction. And to put it in perspective, the bad Best Buy was like a department store that they turned into a Best Buy. So you get things like the TVs and refrigerator section, where it's just like, it doesn't follow any, there's no rhyme or reason how anything in that store is fucking laid out. It is an absolute goddamn shit show all the time. But I wanted that one because the register is right next to the door and you could just fucking leave. That was where I got my Switch. I was in and out in 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. I got the good Best Buy. When I changed it, it immediately showed it was available. I hit it. I sat in a line for about 2 minutes, and then they let me buy it. In and out. Website held up. It was slow, but it held up. Put the transaction in. Got the email. Done. Finished. Like that. I actually have a theory on this, and we'll get to GameStop in a minute. I have a theory that they deliberately were waiting for Target and Walmart.
I think so too.
Because they wanted to, they were like, all right, let these sites get hammered and bleed some of the demand. Because as long as you couldn't process a transaction on Best Buy, they were pretty much just serving you up the cash. Mm-hmm. It's like you could hit refresh as much as you want.
Yep.
You're probably the only thing you're probably getting is like a binary flag that says whether or not this button should show as available or not. So you probably weren't actually doing a lot of damage to their infrastructure. Now, they were still running slow during that period of just people refreshing it a lot, but like they were holding up. I think they deliberately were like, let's let Walmart and Target sell their shit, run through their supply, and then all of those people who would be trying to refresh all three are no longer in the pipeline. Because it's just the people who haven't gotten Target and haven't gotten Walmart at this point. And that might have actually contributed to why it felt so much smoother. Because it did. It felt like it was slow. It was much slower than a normal Best Buy transaction, but I didn't see any errors. During their little window there, I did get an error page once at Best Buy, but like, okay. Target's website was just gone for like 4 minutes straight.
Yeah.
Just didn't exist. Target.com was just a white page. And like, so, as an engineer, as a software engineer, as a cloud software engineer, this is really fascinating. Like this is something that John and I could probably do an entire episode on. Mm-hmm. Just be like, okay, why do we think Target went down? In the very specific way it went down. Because it didn't just go down, it went down in like a very particular kind of way.
It very much seemed like, just from what I was seeing on the site, it very much seemed like they were scrambling.
Yeah. Like, you could see pieces of the infrastructure go down.
Yeah.
And so the example of that is the fact that the address autocompleter didn't go down.
Yep.
Or didn't come up.
Yep.
Like, it didn't load my address.
And then I couldn't load something from my address book. So I feel like that whole API just got overloaded completely.
Yeah, the accounts API went down probably because, this is a theory, but I'm speaking from some degree of experience. They probably tried to buttress the, I can't remember whatever they would call their shopping API. There's a term for those. I can't remember what it's called. And their web front end and their web middle tier. They probably tried to buttress all that, but no one probably thought about, well, what happens when 8 million people try to sign into Target accounts at the same time?
Yep.
And load their address books. And they probably didn't do much to scale that out.
No.
But that was definitely a spot that failed because like it wasn't loading the fact that I have a predefined address. It wasn't loading the fact that I have a credit card on file. Like none of that. It was just like, nope. You gotta type all this shit manually, brother. Now I feel good that I didn't get charged at Target because I didn't get the alert on my phone. Best Buy is actually really good. So I have Wells. I know. But it's integrated directly with Wells, and like they have a bump page that you get sent to when you buy something with the Wells credit card. It says, "Hey, we're going to alert your device just to make sure it's you." And so the banking app on my phone lit up, one fingerprint later, and then a yes. The website that they bumped me to redirected me back to my shopping cart. We're done. Everything's golden. It worked flawlessly. Beautiful. So, their e-commerce components, they obviously had just juiced the shit out of them. They're like, we've got to make sure this thing works beautifully. Targets, gone. I'm trying to remember what the name of the acronym you use for your inventory management. Your catalog. There's your catalog API. That doesn't tell you how many you've got in stock. I think their catalog API was probably mostly fine. But the one that tracks stock, like that's got to be what caused so many people to have orders canceled. Is that it just sold everything, and then they're like, just keep selling.
Well, yeah, Best Buy was really good for me because it put me in a queue, which was fine, which actually makes sense, which I didn't see that at Walmart. Yeah.
It buttresses their e-commerce component from getting slammed.
Exactly. And I'm sure it just lets people queue endlessly, and then it just probably allots inventory as far as it can go, and then it would just say, sorry. Probably just says, yep, sorry, all the inventory is gone. But for me, it was a little bit scary because I was in line for about 45 minutes, and then
oh wow,
and yeah, because I mean, as soon as Best Buy went up, I clicked the pre-order button and put me in line. I was there for about 45 minutes, and meanwhile, I was texting with a buddy of mine, and he did the same thing. He pretty much I clicked the pre-order button pretty much right after him, and he got through within 5 minutes, and he was out.
I would say in 5 minutes I had gone from line to in my inbox.
Yeah, so I think I must have just got in when everybody else got in, and so I was in line for about 45 minutes, and then it kicked me out of the queue, and I was like, oh man, and so I had to click the I had to click the pre-order button again, and so I got put back in the queue, and at that point, I'm like, all right, I'm thinking plan B. Am I going to have to get up tomorrow and queue at GameStop and hope that works out or something? Because I figured, okay, well, now I've just gotten back into the queue, and I'm way behind everybody else. So, like, there's no hope. But 15 minutes went by, boom. And what I thought was interesting was the first thing that they did was they put me through their sign-in flow, which I thought was pretty clever. Because what that means is that not everybody was landing on the cart page immediately. And so people had to, so not only did it delay people from going to the cart page, but it also ensured that people didn't go to the cart page, then sign in. So they were ready, people were ready to go as soon as they got to the cart page, and they just checked out. So I just checked out and I was done. So.
Yeah. Before the pre-order went live, they had a message that said, make sure you've already got your location selected and you're signed in.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Like I had done that, and their customer API didn't fucking annihilate itself.
No, it was fine. I was really impressed. I thought Best Buy overall really had their shit together.
Like, I mean, it was definitely showing strain, but like it's probably once every 5 years level traffic. Like this was so about 10 years ago, my company did its first Super Bowl ad. Now, everybody tells you when you do your Super Bowl ad, be fucking prepared. We were not prepared.
No, I'll take down a website.
The second time we did our Super Bowl ad, we prepared based on the knowledge of the first time we did it. And then afterwards doubled it. Said, all right, here's what we think we need. Double that amount. Which you could do in a cloud environment. It's pretty easy. We barely made it through that one.
Environments. So this is what cracks me up when you'll hear this from infrastructure vendors. Oh yeah, it auto scales. Okay.
I mean, yeah, it will, but auto scale's not instantaneous.
Exactly.
And there's a cap.
Yes.
Like no vendor lets you auto scale to infinity because that would be a disaster.
Yep.
So like if your auto scale is set to cap out, well, when it caps out, it caps out.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And anybody who's wondering about how DDoS attacks work, it's exactly this. It is a gold rush scenario where you have so much traffic going to a website at one time that even some kind of auto scaling solution can't even keep up. And that way you just all the requests just completely overwhelm the web server.
And that's what products like Akamai, who do things of like trying to scramble that stuff, have value. Like, yeah, you can also do like reverse proxying and whatever, but nobody I'm not gonna pay Yaka my money for that shit.
Yeah, exactly. They charge you through the nose.
It's the fact to protect you from bullshit like that, where it's like, no. I see what's happening here. I'm not letting 8,000 calls get through from this IP address at one time. Fuck that shit.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Yep.
But there is Best Buy's engineers earned their money this week. Like this, I'm sure they were sitting around. I'm sure they were online. I'm sure all these companies had their full engineering teams online watching it, going fuck. I know this because I've been that engineer sitting there just saying fuck. In my case, I was the only part that I'm curious about is did they do all hands present on site, or did they just do it from home? I would bet they did it on site.
Probably. Yeah.
I would bet at Target's Minneapolis headquarters, their technology team was on site and were fucking panicking.
Yeah.
I think going live.
I was just going to say, like, for me, it was interesting just to look at the different companies, and I think what their bread and butter is. Like, you can tell that Best Buy takes this very seriously, and so they say, you know, for them, this is really normal. And also these products are like their main, like obviously a main driver for them, right? Revenue wise, right? So they make sure. So for them, number one priority, we have a solution for this scenario where there's a million people trying to hit a single product page. You can tell that they have had that in the works for a long time. I don't know if I've actually seen that because I've ordered other products at launch from Best Buy, and this is the first time I've seen that kind of queuing behavior. And I was wondering if it looked homegrown to me. I don't know that, but Walmart, you could tell that this is really not their bread and butter. Target, you could tell it really isn't their bread and butter because they just didn't really seem prepared. And the same thing with GameStop, right. But with GameStop, I just assume that probably they've laid off half their web team and there's like a skeleton crew running that site.
So what was interesting on GameStop is it feels like their website probably imploded a little bit. Mm-hmm. But it seems like they devoted almost none of their supply to online sales. Like they just went full on go to store. So I walked to there's a store like a mile from my office, and I just walked past. So I went to lunch early today because I'd finished up a meeting and I had a bunch of meetings in the afternoon. I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go now. And I walked to go get a bagel, and I walked past the GameStop. This GameStop I refer to it as the cursed GameStop because it's right on the edge of campus. It got burned in a riot in 2020. I believe a car went through it at one point. It's just a fucking cursed ass GameStop.
Yeah.
But they had a sign on the door that said how many they had. I didn't catch how many it was. But they had only really been open for like 20 minutes. And they were just processing people through, and it seemed like if I'd wanted to, I could have gotten in line and just got one.
That's funny.
Because it seemed like they had a lot.
Yeah, like that's what I was seeing on Blue Sky too.
60 plus bundles.
Yeah, I saw Jason Schreier on Blue Sky. He said, yeah, at this GameStop I'm at, they have 80 Switch 2s in stock, and there's only 40 people in line.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right.
There's some people who I need to check with to make sure they were able to get one because I still have the Nintendo email thing. And like if I have to work it out so friends of the show can get one to make sure they're good, that's a possibility. But otherwise I might ask a friend of mine who I know wanted one but I know didn't get one to be like, you want to just buy it, have it shipped to my house, and then you can just drive over here and get it. It's like, it's fine. Yeah. We can do that. So Guillaume, what about you? I know you tried, got frustrated.
Let's go north of the border. Let's hear what this experience was.
So the retail environment is a little bit different, although it's the same names, the same companies for the most part, except that with the addition of London Drugs, which I did not attempt to buy a Switch from.
That is his craziest fucking name.
That must be just a Quebec chain, right? Because I've never seen those.
No, I looked this up. Their CHQ is in Winnipeg for some reason. It's not even in London, Ontario.
Their slogan is 100% Canadian-owned retail store.
Right. Okay. So I've never seen one in Quebec. So like I didn't even attempt. I was like, sometimes because of the language laws, some things like on the Best Buy website, bestbuy.ca website says will not ship to Quebec. So yeah, I didn't want to take any chances with like a completely unknown retailer. So yeah, last night I stayed up and I tried I tried GameStop, not knowing that they had announced that they would open pre-orders at 12 p.m. And it's like, I fucking hate when retailers write 12 p.m. or 12 a.m.
Just say
like,
noon or midnight.
Yeah, like noon, so after the stores open, and it's like, it's not immediately legible when you see that, oh yeah, like that's not a midnight launch, that's a noon launch. So, yeah, fuck that. So, what was open? Walmart and Costco. And at first I was trying Walmart a lot, and it just wouldn't lead me anywhere. I don't even remember what happened because I was falling asleep at that point. And Costco wouldn't let me go on the product page, but it would let me add to cart from the search page. So I tried to do that, and I already had an account with them, but it's an old account that I don't order from because it's not. I'm not a Costco member. It's still tied to when I tried to enter my parents' membership on there. So I don't know. Like, sometimes I wonder if I tried to order something from them from that account at this point, like, would they flag it like, hey, this asshole is not a member, even though you don't need to be a member to be, to shop at Costco.ca. Anyway, so nothing really worked, and like the thing would jam when I would try to check out. So eventually, I just let the computer run, and I went to bed. And not that I expected it, but yeah, like there was no email saying like you got your order went through. There was no such email waiting for me this morning. So Best Buy was supposed to open at 9. And then GameStop and some other retailer were supposed to be, well, London Drugs, yeah, were supposed to open their pre-orders at noon. So at 9, I try Best Buy. I was going to do it on my work computer. I got, for some reason, like it never happens, but I got some trouble trying to turn it on. So that fucked me over because, yeah, like I was late in the waiting line, I guess, in the queue, when I went to bestbuy.ca, when I finally managed to get online. So I wait the queuing page, like, it took forever to get through, like for probably a good 45 minutes. Eventually, okay, I'm on the bestbuy.ca website. I go to where you're supposed to be able to find the product pages for the Nintendo Switch, and there's fucking nothing. I could have shot for anything else on the site. I could go on the, like, here's where you come to pre-order the Switch 2, but no product page link showed up. Like the no thumbnails for Nintendo Switch consoles showed up. So there was just no way to access them. So there was... And so, like, I just kept refreshing that page over and over again. Eventually, like, a couple of hours later, they finally show up, at last. And I looked online, and it looks like that happened to everyone else. So it was not just, like, my browser or anything. Like, no one, like, they claimed to turn on the pre-orders at 9, but, like, it actually happened 2 hours later.
Yeah, like, that's what I was wondering might happen to me, too, is... are they going to show out of stock, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you see something like on Blue Sky, like, oh my god, they're back in stock, on Best Buy, because I've seen that happen too.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was not even showing, like, out of stock or anything. Like, the pages just wouldn't load or something. Anyway, so, and eventually they show up on the website. I click on them. At this point, the fucking website had signed me out of my account. So when I went to check out, it was like, well, you got to sign in. Okay. I tried to sign in. I taught the computer so much about crosswalks and fire hydrants and bikes and buses. Like, you wouldn't believe. I went through the CAPTCHA like dozens of times. And then I get booted out into the queue again. It was just like the fucking most miserable shopping experience I've ever had. I've never done this before. I think this is my first troublesome pre-order experience because I didn't pre-order the Switch. I didn't pre-order... Like, I think maybe I pre-ordered the Wii U and the 3DS, and we know that those were pretty smooth pre-orders because no one wanted them. At least not initially. But yeah, like, right. So... Eventually, I made it through the queue again, and somehow, magically, they still had stock, it seems. Because like they just went, then they sent me directly into my account, like the checkout where I was already signed in, so the CAPTCHA must have held, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I just got like the confirmation email just an hour ago. But all this happened around like noon, so I didn't have to go to, you know, GameSpot or anything, or London Drugs, God forbid.
So I'm doing some research on London Drugs right now, out of curiosity. And one, their website is old as fuck.
It looks old, yeah.
But I scrolled down to the bottom, to the very bottom, because I'm curious. I'm always curious what like companies put at their I can't remember what they call it anymore. You know, websites don't even do it, where it's like the list of all the links. And there is one that said London Drugs Story, and I'm like, yeah, we've all had our smack out in London. It's fine. But there is a avoid recruitment fraud, which is like people fake hiring, which is wild. But there's a link that just says influencers. So I had to click that. And what it is, we're looking for content creators. Are you an influencer with the Western Canadians audience following who loves shopping at London Drugs? We want to hear from you. Well, all right. So we do have listeners in Western Canada. Have any of us even been to Western Canada? Not recently. But we can lie about that. We are technically content creators. Gentlemen, I have said historically we are willing to sell out. Are you willing to move to Alberta to sell out?
I
personally wouldn't.
Okay.
No, I would not.
Shit. All right. Well, we are still willing. Their website is so bad. Holy shit. It's amazing. I love this. I love this website. It is, it's fascinating. Like, I kind of want, like, I make fun of the marketers at work. I kind of want to put this in front of the designers and just be like, tell me about this website. What do you think? What the fuck? Is Canada, like, I legitimately expect one of them to look at me and go, is Canada okay? This is wild. But also, calling your company London Drugs is very funny. I get it. It was probably a drugstore, but now it just sounds like this is a place where you can just go buy meth right on the street. You know, like,
I'm looking at this, and I find this website perfectly cromulent. Like, I don't...
Yeah, no. It's
actually
it's
like
fine.
This might be the ideal website for me because there's none of the fucking bullshit where like no 3 dots anywhere to be seen.
No, there aren't. Like there's the 3 slashes on the shop by category.
Yeah, okay.
But like I wish they did because it scrolls so far that I actually can't get it all on screen sometimes for some of the subcategories. Right. It's like, oh no, what have you done?
Yeah, like first you go to electronics and you see all the different sub categories and you look for video games, but no, you didn't scroll down far enough into the main categories because video gaming is much lower on that scrolling category thing.
Thank you for your interest in Nintendo Switch 2. Pre-orders are now closed. No additional pre-orders are available in-store or online. Limited quantities will be available in-store only on June 5th. So they actually just pulled it off the website, which I'm impressed by. Most of them have left it up there. That's actually very good of them. That's an A+ move by a company. So good job. Good job, guys. They have we can have our photos printed. We could have a group photo printed on a mug. I'm down for this. All right. Anyway, I need to find out if the rest of our cadre were able to secure. We know Greg was able to get his last 2 weeks ago now, I guess. Well, because they for political reasons were able to just post their pre-orders on the pre-order date. Go figure. They've already had their weird economic disrupting moment, and that was years ago. So yeah, but it seems like we were all able to get one. I will check with some people in the Discord who I know were still trying to figure it out, see if they were successful. But
well, like in the future, like if you want your Canadian
what a mess.
equivalent to Wario 64, I guess there's a LBA bins on Blue Sky. So LBABINZ or Z.
I knew it was gonna be a Z. I was like, it's gonna be a fucking Z, isn't it? God damn it.
So they're doing the whole affiliate links thing. But they seem to be pretty much on top. Like they're the account that I was following to see like what have I not thought of? You know, like if Best Buy fails, what are my options? So
what's the next play?
Yeah,
I will say, while I was happy to see that Nintendo has so many Switch 2s out there that I could have gotten to GameStop 20 minutes after they opened and just gotten in line and gotten one. It did make all of last night's frustration feel a little bit hollow. I will be honest. Now, I didn't really want to buy from GameStop because there's always that like crippling. Now, granted, that location, if they did a midnight launch, would be a fuckload lot closer than either of those goddamn Best Buys. But I always just have this fear of pre-ordering something from GameStop that really all that's about to happen is I'm about to be creditor in their one of the many creditors in their Chapter 11 proceedings.
Yeah, and I just really don't trust them either. I mean, they're the one retailer where I expect them to cancel my stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I talked about the Pyra Mithra amiibo where they sold my purchase. Yeah. They're like, well, somebody came in early. I'm like, but it was already sold. Why did you sell it? And did they offer to make it right for me? They most certainly did not. What they did instead is they called another location that had it like 15 miles away and were like, hey, can you just put it behind the shelf? We're going to send this guy to come get it. I was like, can you have it brought here? No, probably not. I'm like, cool, thanks.
Yeah. GameStop, when I think of GameStop, I always think of how when I bought my Wii, I wanted to get Zelda with it. And they said, oh, yeah, we have one copy left, one new copy. And I said, okay, cool. I'll take it. And the guy opens up the drawer underneath the cash register.
Oh, yeah.
And he pulls out an opened copy.
And
he's like, here you go. And I'm like, okay, how much is this going to be? He's like, oh, yeah, whatever, $49.99 or like full price. And I said, well, wait a minute. What do you mean? It's open. Oh, yeah, but it's brand new.
Then why'd you take it out of the box?
Right. It's like, so, no, it's not brand new because you took the plastic off. If I came in and I gave you this game right back, you would say it's used. But
yeah, I've had
that's
like
GameStop.
that situation. Yeah, like it's decades ago now. It was like Yoshi's Island on the GBA, and yeah, like they sold it to me, like new, quote unquote, but there was a save file that had been started on it because I think at least at that point, like they would allow their employees to open any game and check it out. And so someone had checked out level 1-1 and determined that Yoshi's Island wasn't for them or something.
But it's still new.
I paid full price. I felt bad for not going back and... Yeah, I felt dumb for not going back and like making kicking up a fuss. Anyway, making a fuss. But I was a student. I was on foot. I had crossed the Outaouais, Ottawa River... And I was fucking tired. Anyway, I didn't care enough.
It's one of those things where that company is circling the drain and got a cash infusion from the stupid meme stock shit. People. Yeah, so they sold. I'm pretty sure they did as well. Sold stock while it was floating way up there. I know some of the movie theaters did, but
well, one of the latest plays of the kind of the asshole CEO was to buy Bitcoin, right?
Good,
yeah.
Good. No, that's perfect. That's a sound invest. I don't understand. I don't that is a company that I don't want to say deserves to die, but it seems to be actively courting its own death, and its continued survival is befuddling.
Just about a month ago, on Twitter or X, he tweeted about how he was looking for a buyer for the Canadian part of GameStop because it was too woke. So that's just make of that what you will. I don't know how a retail store can be woke, but apparently the Canadian part of it was.
Yeah, sure.
It's fucking language loss, man.
Yeah,
so he's just he can't take it anymore.
Yep.
I so stupid. It's just dumb. It's just one of these things where it's like, to whom are you addressing? Are you hoping there is some Canadian millionaire on X going like, on X the Everything app going, finally what I've been looking for, the opportunity to buy one national division of a failing multinational.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. A particularly woke one at that, apparently.
Yeah.
Done.
No, I've always wanted to have a store full of fucking Funko Pops.
Woke Funko Pops. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I don't even know how to deal with it. It's just perfect. Like it's performative. It's stupid. It's nonsense. You could frame it and put it on a wall and people would be like, the 2020s produced a strange period of art. And to be like, motherfucker, that wasn't art. That was intentional. That wasn't somebody's symbolic representation of what people were thinking. That is someone actively doing. How do you even get to be a CEO? I guess he's probably a holder. Like, how do you get to be a CEO in that context? Where you're like, I'm going to go on there and talk about the fact that I'm going to sell part of the company. Why? I don't know. Because, by the way, that kind of stuff is actually like a little bit binding. So don't fuck around with shit like that. Just saying.
They made that movie with Paul Dano way too early. The movie about the meme stock, like.
Yeah. Well, you know, if they had made it late, a little bit later, you could have bought it at DVD Stop, which was a real thing where GameStop briefly tried to run a DVD store. If you're wondering, did they launch this in a like completely irresponsible year like 2010? Yes, they did. Again, this is a company that's
if they had waited longer to make the movie, the Paul Dano part would have gone to like Jared Leto or something.
Probably. This is a company that wants to die. Like they are telling you they want to die, but refuse to do it. It is very curious. But yeah, I'm glad none of us had to suffer the indignity of that. But yeah, there is some really, I would give anything to have been a fly on the wall on the after action meeting at Target today. Just to hear it. Just to hear the things that got said. Just like, because I say right now, blameless postmortems are oftentimes neither. What I mean by that, they're often not blameless. You may have to be stealthy about how you blame someone. And in a big situation, they're oftentimes not a postmortem. It's still going on. Or bad things are still happening. Or your hardware is still on fire, even though it's not technically crashing anymore. I would love to know what that was like. Because it's like what engineer is just going like, I told you we need more capacity. I told you we need to go higher. John, is it possible they're not cloud-based?
No way.
That would be insane, right?
There's no way they're on-prem.
There's
no way.
The fact that they didn't scale up at all, seemingly.
Yeah.
What if
I really had no answers. I was like, man, in the year of our Lord 2025, I do not expect websites to fall over like this, especially with something like this where you can plan around it like a Super Bowl. That's what's crazy.
You know it's coming. You were told days in advance this is going to happen.
But just
like that's why Nintendo gave them like 7 days to prep for this.
Yeah, but even if you don't, but even just systemically, you should have, if you're that type of retailer with these types of events, like these come around not just for game consoles, for other things too.
Fucking Pokemon cards.
I mean, you should have a system in place to just handle this queuing. Like I remember with the PlayStation 5, Sony, they actually had a queuing system in place. So, and it was just easy peasy, man. You just signed in, and actually I think they might have even had like a reservation sort of thing where they would say, yeah, you come to the website at a certain time, and there you go, you get tossed into a queue. Now they were doing that with a third party, I think.
Yeah.
But still, that's what those things exist for. This is a recognized problem. So even if you don't want to build it yourself, because that can be difficult, there's companies out there that can do this. Yeah, that you just get something off the shelf. It's crazy.
I'm telling you right now, even if you want to do this, don't. Because somebody else has solved it and already run into the fucking headaches that you will run into the first time.
Yes.
Just don't. Just don't build it.
Yep.
Like, this is a constant refrain in the engineering world of, could we build this? Yes. Should we build this? No. Why? Because there's going to be some dumb bullshit we don't think of.
Yeah.
That's going to happen the first time, and maybe the second, and maybe the 10th, that these people have already seen.
If it is not your bread and butter, if it is not in your company's DNA to do this particular thing, don't do it. Don't build it. You're signing yourself up, because then you build it, and then you have to fix it, and then you got to maintain it forever.
Right. And like all the knowledge, all the institutional knowledge that some other that the provider has accrued through absolutely falling on their fucking face, you'll have to learn the hard way. Mm-hmm. Or you can just pay them for it, because they've already learned that lesson.
Yep.
It's beautiful. Phones, like, aren't phones a thing? Like, pre-ordering phones, isn't that a struggle?
Absolutely, yeah, that's for sure. But you don't hear about it. I don't know. You just don't really hear about it as much. I mean, this is very, and that's the thing. It's just very, very high profile thing that you would think, like, hey, like 1 or 2 years ago, hey, we don't really have a good queuing system in place, and we have this console launch. But it's not even a thing where you can look to a particular console launch. Another console launch is always coming.
Right.
So
I would have scaled. I would have gone like 10x normal capacity.
Yeah.
I would have just been like, look, I want to throw so much fucking hardware at this that, we're gonna spend more money than we need to.
Yep.
I'm gonna pre-scale, and I'm gonna disable downscaling. So like you can set it to auto scale up and auto scale down. So like traffic's dying down, I'm gonna scale back down. That can be dangerous, because you could start to wind down too early. Like you might have hit a wave and think, I'm free, but then it shoots back up.
Mm-hmm.
I would have preemptively scaled to max.
Yeah.
Way beyond my need.
Yep.
So like I would have been running at like 4% utilization, something really tiny. I would have disabled down auto scaling, and then I would not have turned it back to normal until today.
Yep.
And just been like, fucking let it ride, see what happens, and off we go.
Instead, they just said, let it ride and see what happens.
Yeah, and
did
like,
nothing.
Yes, I would spend a lot of money for a day.
Yeah.
I have in the past spent a lot of money for a day to get through a problem. And you know what my managers have never said? Oh, don't do that. I'd be like, hey, there's a chance we're going to have an outage. Can I just spend a bunch of money today? I'm going to take it back down later. You know what they always say? Yes. Please do that.
And it does cost you money, but
it does. Yeah. But you know what else costs you money? Being fucking down.
That's exactly it. Yeah, and that's my point. That's what I'm saying. It costs you money and lost revenue. But so, do we know if Greg got one?
No.
Okay.
Oh no, yes, we do. Yes, sorry. He told us a couple weeks ago he did.
Okay.
Because they didn't have to deal with this shit.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm. Right. We're the most dysfunctional country on the planet. Right.
At the moment.
Or at least
give it time.
I wouldn't say can't. I don't know. Guillaume would probably say that Canada's pretty dysfunctional as well, but
we're kind of catching the cold you have right now.
Yeah.
There's always new challengers. There's always look, there are countries, I'm not going to get into naming countries who have long systemic problems, but there are a few. You can think of them, I promise you. If there's a 20-year-long piracy epidemic, and I don't mean stolen music, that might be an indicator that you've got some problems. I'm just going to go ahead and call that an issue. So yeah, but this was an experience, but it sounds like we all got one. I need to check with a couple people in the Discord, make sure they're good. And then some people in my social circle. And if this is a situation where I have to, use the Nintendo service to buy one and be like, okay, I'm not going to be able to get it to you until a few days out. But
yeah, do we know if they've sent those out yet? Because they had their
they announced the date. It's a little ways out. It's deliberately after. I would assume it's deliberately after the retailers in order to let retailers get first crack at the customers.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure retailers would rather Nintendo not sell any themselves and just get them into their supply line. But Nintendo has reserved some percentage of the supply for themselves.
Yep.
Which is new for them. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that always is a delicate balance that you have to strike as a company selling products where, you don't want to piss off your retailers. You want to kind of keep a little bit of an advantage for yourself if you sell things directly, but you also don't want to piss off retailers. So, because they're kind of out there championing your product. So
I have an email about this, actually. Emails. Look at RFN at NintendoWorldReport.com. That's RFN at NintendoWorldReport.com. That's a fucking transition. Ben writes, greetings, gentlemen, scholars, and John. I'm sure you'll already be covering this, but I was just wondering about why Nintendo may be sending out game key cards. My wife thinks it may have to do with tariffs, but I'm not sure. It seems they'd still be charged regardless. Thank you for your work through all the years. So, why the game key cards? There's two factions here. Why aren't publishers putting out Switch 2 carts with the game on them and instead opting for the key card? And why is Nintendo even doing the fucking key card? So if you're not familiar with what the story is, the Switch 2 cartridge slot is the same shape as the Switch 1 cartridge slot, but the cartridges are a little bit different. There is a category of cartridge that is just called the game key card. What this is it's essentially a piece of physical DRM. You put the card in the slot, and then the game itself isn't on the card. That triggers the Switch 2 to download the software, and you can only play it while the card is in the console. So the advantage of this over a digital-only purchase is that you can just swap the card with somebody, and as long as they have physically possessed the card inside the cartridge slot, they can play the game. PC games used to do this before Steam. There would be like, yeah, you have to install it, but you still need to put the CD in the disc tray.
Yeah.
We're not pulling assets off it. It's just our way of making sure that you still have your physical copy. Because otherwise, you could just fully install the game and then give it to your friend. So that was their way of handling it. It's a very similar concept, except the games were on those CDs. So that's the reason that's what they do. Now, the reason they exist is twofold. Why not just make cartridges that are the right size for these games? Well, Right now, reports are there are essentially two types of cartridge on the market. There's the 64 gigabyte cartridge, which is being used by Cyberpunk. That fit the full game on there. Nintendo's probably using that for Mario Kart. Actually, we know they are because we've seen the box. We know they're using it for Donkey Kong. But third parties seem to be leveraging, with the exception of Cyberpunk, leveraging the game key cards, which is the other format of cartridge, which is obviously much smaller because it's just a license key, essentially. And that speaks to the reason. It's a cost thing. Those game key cartridges are quite cheap. The read speed on the Nintendo's Switch 2's cartridges is very, very high, which means the cost is going to be quite high to produce them. I saw somewhere, I think it was $14 for the 64 gigabyte card, which is a lot of money. At scale, if you think about like selling, 20,000 copies, 100,000 copies, 1 million copies, that adds up real fast. So companies have been opting for the game key card because it's much, much cheaper. And like whatever, you can still download the infrastructure. Why Nintendo hasn't made other sizes available, like more intermediary sizes, I would guess that's probably production line oriented. Like the less specific types of thing you're making, the easier it is to make more of them. Does that make sense? If you have a line making a 64, a 32, a 16, and a key card, you will not make as many as if you're just making a 64 and a key card.
Yeah, and you have to, maintain those
volume.
Four different lines.
Right. Like it can never go away. What?
There's this guy on Blue Sky I follow, Daniel Ahmad Zujax, who posts a lot about Chinese market stuff, but
yeah.
He says that it takes time to ramp up different capacity game cards.
Oh, yeah.
So he seems to think that maybe different sizes are coming eventually, but that for now, this is what we got.
Yeah, oh yeah, I fully expect there will be more sizes in the intermediary, but I think just for the purposes of getting the supply line up and running, that they just said, like, what's the biggest we would need and what's the smallest we would need, and let's make those two. And that's it. We're just like, what do we need as Nintendo? 64. Got it. That's what we're going to produce. And then what's the smallest size we can produce? Well, the key card. Okay, done. So that's why, like, companies are, like, you have an 8 gigabyte game. Well, it's not going to fit on a key card. And the next up is 64, which is a lot of money. It takes a big bite of your profit margin. So you just don't. You just say, fuck it. I'm going to use the key card. It sucks, but whatever. Now, the other option is, why even bother going to retail then? Why not just make it a digital only purchase? And John, that is what the transition was. Can you fill in the blank there?
No, I cannot.
Retailers want to have a product on their store shelves.
They do. That is true.
And like, they're not going to have Switch 2s on their store shelves because they're fucking sold.
Yeah.
So if you want to have Switch 2 present, you need to have game cartridges. But Nintendo's only options are the cheap game card or the expensive 64 gigabyte. For Puyo Puyo Tetris 2, which is like a 5 gigabyte game, neither of those are a good fit. So you end up going game card with download because it's the only option that makes sense. This is basically no different than when you still can for Nintendo, and Microsoft, but I know Sony's gotten out of this game of, like, you can go to Target and there's just a wall of gift cards for specific games. And a lot of times these are digital only games. These are games that don't have physical retail, or maybe they had a physical retail through, like, limited run or
strictly
limited, ultra limited, more limited than your mom games, whatever, fuck it. But nominally speaking, they were digital only. This is sort of a stand-in for that gives the extra utility of you can loan it to someone else. And so I wouldn't say the tariffs are the catalyst, because this was obviously the plan prior to that. I don't think they're upset about it in that respect. Like, yeah, this is one less thing we have to deal with. Because I don't know how they assess the value it's probably the value of the full product. So the cartridge plus the game plus the packaging all assembled. So it probably doesn't make a huge difference because it's going to be based on what the sale price to retailers is. So that's probably not driven by the card. I think it's just largely like Nintendo wanted to maximize their ability to produce cards and be able and say that they can serve every possible size game, which is true. In this current configuration, they are able to service every size game. Maybe not optimally, but they can do it.
Yeah, I feel like you can see the industry kind of moving beyond the physical. I mean, duh.
Yeah.
But especially cartridges are becoming, as games increase in size, cartridges are becoming less and less feasible.
Code in a box has been a thing for a long time.
Yeah.
This is a step beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, physical cartridges they're pretty much becoming completely undoable with once you're getting into games that are 100 gigs, 120, 130 gigs. It's just not happening anymore.
Right.
It just becomes too expensive.
They just won't fit on it.
Yep.
Like could you make? Oh, go ahead.
No, well, as someone who still buys physical copies of games, and like this does make this, yeah, like the key card thing is more appealing than the codes, because the codes introduced all sorts of small problems when you were trying to sell off your games, or like kind of trade them in, or something like that. Like if you were to shop for the Mega Man collections, for instance, often like those collections had like half the games on the cartridge and the other half were a download code. And so if you were buying secondhand, well, you probably weren't getting the download code.
Right.
It was probably already used. And so there was like always that kind of calculus you had to make in your head, like, well, what am I just buying half the collection here? Am I going to have to pay for the other half? Am I saving money by buying used? So that kind of sucked. So at least with this keycard thing, you're getting the keycard, you get the full thing. You might have to download it, but at least you know that you're going to be able to sell it again afterwards if you want to. And as someone who went all in with digital on the Wii U, like that's one of the things that kind of pissed me off. It's one of the reasons why I took so long to get Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I was pissed off that I couldn't sell my old, my digital copy basically, and I didn't get any rebate if I bought the deluxe version. I don't know why. Maybe it's just psychological. It was not like this huge expense for me, but I just refused to upgrade because I was, I've got Mario Kart Deluxe, Mario Kart 8 at home already. I don't need to, I don't need the upgrade all that much. And if I could sell off the old copy to finance the new one, sure, I could justify it to myself. But as it stands right now, I don't really want to. So at least a key card, yeah, like it kind of, if you want that option to trade it in and stuff, like it gives you that.
Yeah. Or just loan it to a friend. Like,
also, yeah.
Just be like, hey, you take this. Now it's very, very early days. It seems like about 40% of the games, at least based on one person's factoring, are keycard games. But given the circumstances, I get it. Like it totally if I'm a publisher, it totally makes sense to me of why I would do a keycard game. The reality of the situation is it's just like I don't need a 64. I don't want to eat $14 of my profit right out of the gate just to get the game on store shelves. I'd rather sell it digital only. But retailers want stuff on shelves. This sort of solves both those problems, even if it's an inelegant solution in both directions. Because your other choices don't solve the problem. Like Bravely Default is not a big game, but it is a keycard game. So like this feels like this is a step, John, to your point, this is a step to digital only.
Yeah.
This is a step to all digital. And retailers won't like that. So this is a way of trying to give them a fig leaf.
Mm-hmm.
You're still going to be able to sell it. They're going to have value. They're not going to be devalued like game cards are, paper cards. I'm looking for the stats on how big some of these games are, but like they weren't that big. Like, so there is a certain amount of just, okay. Because I want to say the Nintendo Japan site has actually posted the file sizes of a lot of the games, so you can just go look them up. But yeah, now this goes hand in hand with the expensive SD format that they're using because there's only so much space. So there's an extra challenge there of like, okay, but do we have enough storage on the system for all these games that are going to have to be digital? And I am already keeping an eye open for SD Express. I would recommend you do the same. Guillaume named 2 people on social media who are likely going to be the source of good info for when SD Express goes on sale.
Yeah.
So.
Or also, like, there are, I haven't looked yet, but Deku Deals
yes.
is a pretty good site where you can make your wish list, and anything you put on your wish list, you'll get an email warning you when they go on sale. And pretty sure SD Express must have been added to their... Yeah, so I could wish list micro SD Express cards right now, and I'll get some sort of warning when they go on sale.
Warning is the right word. Fun fact, on April 2nd, so about 2 weeks ago, Lexar, who are one of the people in the SD conglomerate, a bunch of consortium, there's the word I wanted, released the first commercially available 1 terabyte SD Express card.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
It's expensive as fuck.
It's $186, or at least,
it's out of... Doesn't look like it.
It's out of stock.
It doesn't
right
look
now,
like it's being sold in Canada right now.
Yeah.
No, I mean they just released it.
Yeah, I don't know if 1 terabyte would really be necessary.
No, but like it's more a call out that that marketplace is starting to mature rapidly. The Switch 2 will push that even further.
Yeah.
I would expect by the holidays you will see some SD Express cards go on sale.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've seen a lot of people in our Discord going like, "Hey, like, do you know where I can find a good price on SD Express cards?" And it's like, well, yeah, not right now. So I would wait. Like 256 should last you a little bit. Do some fridge cleaning if you must. But yeah, wait a few months before you get one of those cards, I would say.
For sure.
Yeah.
I would agree.
It's a marketplace that is rapidly maturing now.
Yeah, and
so I mean, and this kind of stuff, it's sort of like RAM for computers, where it's really expensive at the beginning, and then it kind of bottoms out, and when it becomes the most common and most used, it gets cheap, and then as it falls out of favor, it becomes expensive again, even though not really so much like that. With RAM, it is literally like that, but that's kind of how it is. It's like when this stuff gets broad adoption, that's when it becomes the cheapest.
Yeah, because you get more and more players making it.
Yep.
Like Lexar is the only company that produces a 1 terabyte SD Express right now.
Yeah.
Now, others will soon, but right now they can set the price whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, I mean, SanDisk are my boys. You know, we got a long history together. You know, they're my ride or die. Switch.
Nice.
Switch memory cards.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
All right. Let's do one more email because it's another one that's relatively quickly and it ties into another transition. Boom. Shifting gears. I'm going to put it in the chat. John, would you mind reading it?
I most certainly can. That's a short one.
Yeah.
All right. John writes, Dear RFN, I have been listening to you talk about Xenoblade Chronicles X due to the Switch release of the game. It made me want to play it again. I started it on a Wii U back when the game originally came out, but I barely played it. I still have my Wii U copy, and I could just play it on Wii U. Is the Switch version sufficiently superior to justify purchasing the same game a second time? Thank you for your help. I would say not really. James, what do you think?
I just beat it.
Yep.
And that includes the new chapter. It is night and day.
Okay.
It is a significantly better product on Switch.
Okay.
And here's what I mean. It loads faster. It loads dramatically faster.
Yeah,
I cannot tell you how. The load times on the Wii U were a nightmare for that game.
Yeah,
so much so that there was a free DLC you could download to try to make it load faster. It looks a lot better. So I was watching a video where it had character models from the two versions, and I always think of Lynn, and in my head, we've talked about this in other games where your head kind of self edits the graphics to what you remember them to look like. No. Lynn looked like dog shit in the Wii U version. Her face looked like it was melting. A lot of the characters look better. A lot of the IQ looks better. The resolution is sharper. It runs smooth. Now, it didn't run too jaggedly on Wii U, but it runs very smoothly on Switch. The lighting's a little bit better, so some places that are dark, like Noctilum, are just better. The new content, I'll talk about it a little bit. The new characters it added, one of them is a character that was already there, but he had a minor role, and they upped his role into being a party member. One of them is a brand new character who I adore. She's fantastic. She really builds out what the world is. And then two of them are just kind of there. They exist. I don't really feel anything for them when they're on screen. But the new content in terms of the story stuff is actually really I'm gonna say this because there's a lot going on in the new chapter 13. There's a lot going on. Holy fuck! Why is there so much going on in the new chapter 13? But Xenoblade Chronicles X was the only game in the Xenoblade series where I did not have to concern myself with what the cosmology of that game is. That is no longer accurate. They recontextualize a lot of stuff and how this game ends. So in terms of if you reach the ending, you will be better served if you play the chapter 13 than you get stuck with the chapter 12 and go well, what the fuck? Because it answers a lot of the hanging questions off chapter 12. Do I think it answers them well? It answers them. I would say some of them an answer is better than others. Some of them come up with an extremely stupid answer. John, if you'll remember the ending, and I won't say the names of any of the characters. There's the person who's washed up on the beach who shouldn't be there. And the hooded figure who we don't know who they are.
Yeah.
We get the answers to both of those questions. One of them is fine. One of them is preposterous. And we get a new character who every time he comes up, he starts a conversation with "How's it poppin'?" And he expects them to do this whole like song and dance with him where they're supposed to respond, "Terrible, how about you?" And his response is, "Better than you." And by that, I mean great. Every time he meets characters on screen, we get this whole fucking thing. It's the worst. I hate it so much. I hate it so much. Like, I'm just going in the NWR Discord every so often going, "How's it poppin'?" And I can tell who's made chapter 13 because they're like, "Ah!" I'm like, yeah, exactly. But I wouldn't trade that for the world. Because it's part of this game's... Like, this game is absolutely brain-dead stupid.
It is. There's a lot of silly stuff in there.
And stuff like that. Like, when they're dealing with the shit they're dealing with, and this asshole walks up to me, we're having a heart-to-heart, and goes, "How's it poppin'?" And your choices are, "Terrible, how about you?" And, like, when you do the heart-to-heart, you get the text you're gonna say, and you get, like, a description of what you're gonna do. And the choices, like, play along or reject this dumb thing. And, like, literally, the game's choice is reject this stupid thing. And what it says is you'll say, "How's it poppin'?" Or you'll say, "Terrible, how about you?" The other one is you'll say, "I'm doing great, thank you." And I picked that one, and he's like, "Oh, all right." Like, he's hurt I didn't do his stupid song and dance. It's like, yeah, fuck you. Deal with your shit. And there is a lot of stuff that went into this game to make it better beyond the new content. Just to make it more functional, to make it perform better, to make it more playable, to make it feel nicer. But a big thing that wasn't necessarily anything new or anything they changed is the online mode is back online. What does that mean? So there's a bunch of stuff you can do either asynchronously, with squad missions where every hour when you're online, you're in a squad, and that's players who are active online. And every hour, everybody's issued a set of missions. There's 6 of them. It'll be like, kill 5 of this type of enemy, kill this boss, etc., etc. And you can't do that on Wii U anymore because it's not around anymore. Wii U Online is dead. You also can't fight the Telethia plume, which is a way to get really rare materials and test how good your builds are. Or Yggdrasil. Because again, those are offline now. And those were live online. You went in there into an instance with other players. And there's something really fun about that. I went to Yggdrasil last Friday and was in there with 2 level 99s. And we ran Yggdrasil's health bar down 538 times to 0 because we were just ripping through that thing's health bar. That's really fun. And you can't do that on Wii U anymore. And then you can use the online earnings to buy material. So if you want to go make custom equipment, you don't have to try to find this shit in the world and farm it. You can just buy it using the credit you earn for the online mode. So the fact that this version of the game is alive is really good. If you like the Xenoblade franchise, this is a great game. This is a great fucking game. It looks significantly better than its Wii U counterpart in ways that's hard to quantify sometimes. But it's got an ending now. And like, is it a good ending? It's an ending. It's weird. It's very weird. And there's the new continent, which they promoted, but they didn't really say much about it. And I'm not going to say a lot about it either. It makes me feel a little bit nostalgic for the Sky Islands and Tears of the Kingdom. And not just because, as you saw in the video, there's floating islands. Like there's a vibe thing going on there that feels very on point. Like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom are heavily influenced by work that was done on Xenoblade X. This feels like some of that came back into Xenoblade X in a way that I actually kind of dig. Now there's not much to do in the new continent. You can only go there for a little while. So like it's pretty basic, but it was fun. It was a neat change of pace. It made you slow way down and focus on the story and handle that. And I enjoyed that. And yeah, like it's, how do I feel about the new content? It's between okay to good, and even though I don't necessarily love the conclusion the story reaches, I'm glad that we got rid of the mysteries that just felt like they were left deliberately opaque to make it infuriating. So yeah, like this is a really good ass game that's worth your money a second time. Unless you just don't like Xenoblade games, at which point you won't like this game. This game will not get you there. But I think it's really good. I would just ask yourself why you bounced off the first time. Like, if it just wasn't reconciling, it just wasn't like clicking with you, this won't click with you either, because it is functionally the same game. There are a handful of tweaks to make things a little bit easier. They changed some of the ways the builds work to make them a little bit easier. They made overdrive easier to sustain, and the way that they balanced that was the global bosses, Yggdrasil and Telethia Plume. They have significantly more health than they did in the past. That was how they balanced it, with the fact it's easier to do everything else, which I'm totally cool with. Totally makes sense. Especially when I had my team take down 500 of the Telethia Plume's health bars. Like, I'm not that worried about the fact that Telethia has 2.3 million health bars. We'll get it. I regret to inform you, we did not kill the Telethia Plume, collectively, as all the players online, but we tried. That's the important part. Except for the reward that I didn't get because we didn't kill it. But that's fine. Yeah, this is the Switch version of this game is a living, breathing game. And while the online is relatively limited, there is something very cool about just seeing your friends hanging around in Mira. And no, I don't mean New LA. I mean, like, you're on a rock that's floating in the sky, that the only way to get there is a flying scale, and there's one of your friends sitting there waving at you, and you're like, how the fuck did this asshole get up here? What the fuck? But yeah, this game's cool, and I encourage everyone to play it, and if you have the Wii U one, but maybe didn't get very far, and you're like, hey, should I just buy it on Switch? I would also consider how much more portable Switch is than the Wii U. You could take this thing anywhere and go play it anywhere. And this is a great game for I have a shitload of time to kill. Like, I bet Greg's playing it right now watching the draft. Because he said he would. So, I think the Switch version is absolutely worth the upgrade. John, you said no. I'm curious what your thinking is.
I didn't say no.
Let's go to the recording.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I did, but I mean, I just don't think it's that remarkably different.
Okay. No,
I mean, it's outside of the obvious technical upgrades.
97% of the playtime, not really.
Yeah, and I think of that too. Also, from I do like the experience of having the map and everything on the Wii U screen.
Agreed.
While you're playing, I do like that.
That is a net positive, and yes. I got used to it on the Switch version to the point where it didn't bother me anymore.
Yeah,
but you're right. It was still very convenient.
Yep. I wish that there was an easier way, or maybe I've missed it, to bring the map up with one button.
There is. Why?
Okay. Is it really?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. If you press the Y button, the map comes up.
Okay.
And it pauses the game.
All right.
Yeah, I found that out like 70 hours in.
Yeah, like I'm thinking that seems so simple. Why do I not know that off the top of my head?
Because there's no reason to press the Y button.
Like, yeah, that's probably it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you only really use A and B. So, like, you probably never bothered to press Y. I don't even know what X does. I don't know if X does anything.
Mm-hmm.
X might not do anything.
Weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
Like, I mean, it's mostly like select to cancel based gameplay.
Yeah.
So like the other two buttons don't really serve a purpose. I think they retooled the scale controls too. I fuck this game. This game is like, it's I don't even know how to describe it. It's wild. It's just wild.
It is a really wild game. I would say that.
It's bonkers that it keeps going. And like, I did every single quest. The very last thing I did was take down the new boss. Like, there are no quests left on the map. Mira has like this, like what completion rate you have on it. I'm at like 98.7%, which means I've seen 98.7% of the hexes, one thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's like hundreds of hexes. And a lot of them just happened organically, but I got to the point where I'm just hunting them down because I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even really care about the plot very much. I'm just going around exploring. I haven't played in a while. I've gotten sidetracked, as I tend to do, but just exploring, going around from segment to segment, from square to square, and just trying to find whatever's there, because that's complete viable gameplay.
Oh yeah. Or like, I shouldn't try to climb up there, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, and that's
it obviously wants me to wait for the scale, but fuck that.
Yeah, it's exactly. This is the whole thing, but there's advantages. That's the thing I think that sets it apart, is that there's advantages. You actually get benefits from just fucking around.
Yeah, you do. And I don't encourage people to play the game like I did, which is to explore every surface, to do every quest, to meet every party member, to max out their affinity, do their hearts to hearts, do their affinity missions, all of it. But even though I spent basically 150 hours on it in 4 weeks, I don't regret any of that.
Yeah, no.
This game consistently was giving me rewards for doing the right thing at the right time. And so, yeah, you could get away with playing the Wii U game and still have a very good time. But the online won't work, which is a bigger deal than you think it is when you get into the, like, mid-maxing your character. The squad missions won't work, which is a fun thing to do when you just need a break from quest lines. And it won't look as good. You will have access to the map on the gamepad, which was nice. But beyond that, it feels a little bit hollow. To go back to the Wii U one. So I don't know why I do know why I'm yawning so much. I haven't slept in 4 days. But the other thing is they retooled all the menus. And the menus just look more professional, more adult, more functional. So there's a lot of stuff here to make this game better. But yeah, I mean, it is functionally the same game until you are like 140 hours into it. So to a certain degree, it's hard to say like, well, but new ending. Like, we had the new hat joke a few weeks ago. Because most players, I'll be honest, most players aren't going to get to the end of that game. Like, that's the reality of these long single-player games, is that most people don't see the end. And I imagine that's especially true for something like X, where the game is so long and asks so much of you to get to the end of it, that I wouldn't be surprised at all if the majority of players end up not completing it.
Also, John says, I still have my Wii U copy, so that kind of hints that it's a physical copy. So
right.
I think that the load times were even worse than
they were.
Than if you bought the digital version. But also, I don't know, maybe you can sell it off for about like $20 US on eBay right now.
Maybe.
So it's not that much, but it's if you're going to upgrade, why not?
The music also sounds cleaner. They cleaned up some of the musical performances, which is nice. Also, there's a new version of The Key We've Lost that's even more ridiculous than the first one. But the lyrics, like they have new lyrics. So I was trying to figure out what the new lyrics are. But the singer they have singing it sings these English words in an even more inscrutable way. So now I can't even tell what the fuck she's saying. It's making me insane. And I'm trying to like find the lyrics for them online, but I keep finding the original one's lyrics. And I'm like, no, she doesn't say those words anymore. The words are different now. It's great. What a great game. What a great game. What an absolutely madness-inducing game. Yeah, I would say it's worth, if you had any fun with the Wii U one, I would say it's worth upgrading to the Switch before you continue. If you were like near the end, that would be the part where I'd be like, I don't know, bro, maybe just finish it and then go watch a YouTube video of what happens in chapter 13. It's going to be like long anyway, so just fuck it. But it didn't. So, and like you're not like at the end of the game, you're early on, so the cost of restarting is pretty low. It's just the cost of buying the game. And to Gail's point, maybe you buy Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition physical and then sell it. Because
sure.
you'll probably get more money out of it than the Wii U game. So that's using the old brain box.
Mm-hmm.
But like hitting the end of this game, it sure was interesting. Like I'm not being facetious there. I am perplexed. And I suspect the writers are thrilled about that. So, that's fun. How are we on time? We are at 1:25. Guillaume, tell us about the Gunk.
Sure. So I've been playing the Gunk on Xbox. This is a game that I've been playing on and off for probably over a year. Why? Because
Rewards.
gamifying. I am sick, and the way that reward points are doled out, the Microsoft reward points are doled out, have made it so that I just it modified my behavior the way that I guess Microsoft wants. And so for a long time, you would get reward points for like if you did one achievement per day, like you would get those 50 shiny Microsoft reward points. In the past few months, they took that away, and now it's if you play a game for 15 minutes per day, you get 20 points, significantly less rewards. But you might end up, it depends on if you were playing, if you were able to get really quickly an achievement. Like sometimes you could play, I guess, less than 15 minutes a day. Mm-hmm. But sometimes when you didn't expect it, maybe you were stuck playing a game for an hour, hoping to get an achievement, never getting it. And so, I don't know. But yeah, definitely you're getting fewer points now. But still, I still change my gaming behavior to go after those sweet best reward points that are worth probably, I don't know, a 20th of a cent.
Is there compounding? Like if you do it for X number of days in a row, you get bonuses?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course there is.
You know it. Yeah. If I play, so you have to play the game every day for 4 days a week. You get some amount of points, and it starts a multiplier so that the next week you get twice that number of points.
Oh my god.
And then the third week 3 times, 4 times, and that's where it caps off. So you can, but it's not that many points in the grand scheme of things. But you still want to keep that multiplier going because you're diseased. Yeah.
It's a brain rot.
Yeah. So I've been playing this game forever, but it's been enjoyable. Oh, and there's like this whole other aspect about it that I'm not gonna explain too much. But basically, it also rewards you for playing 8 different games per month. And so that's led to me playing 15 minutes of the Gunk per month, certain months. So that's why it's taking me years to play this game. But this game, I guess, I don't even want to say like the well put together game by professional things. I guess I just said it, but basically what I've been saying online, a much shorter way to say it is that it's a perfectly cromulent game. It's in the dictionary. Look it up if you're not a millennial. So perfectly cromulent. It's by Thunderful / Imogen Forms, whatever their name is currently. The SteamWorld guys.
Yep.
So this team made, like, the Gunk is basically them exploring making 3D games. They were using the Unreal Engine. And from what I could see on the Wikipedia page, I think that they were basically toying around with this demo that they were making. And so this guy came up with this idea of, like, just having a character kind of using kind of vacuum, like we just mentioned, like vacuum to suck up gunk and make flora just explode once all the gunk is taken out. So that was like the basic thing that they started with, and they were like, well, that feels really satisfying to just make the flowers bloom as you clean up the space. Yeah. So they decided to make basically a whole game around that, like a downloadable game. So this is only on Xbox. I'm not sure if Microsoft is publishing, but basically, like, they were just the scope of their project. Like, they just released on Xbox. This was before the Series X and PS5 actually came out, so I guess they couldn't know that they were picking the loser.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, when they started.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, they released it a couple of years maybe into the life of the Series X, and I don't think it's been a big success, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I've been enjoying that. It's it's a satisfying enough loop. I struggle, like many, I think, to talk about games that are not absolutely amazing and not absolutely terrible. Just like this kind of baseline satisfying that still keeps you coming back.
Right.
I can't, I'm not gonna gush about it and say, like, we need this on Switch too, and like, this is the biggest game that no one knows about, and, like, you must play this. But I've been enjoying it enough to just keep going back to it. And one of the things that stand out to me and that I think kept me going back is the character design. Because there's something very, very old school, very early, not even early 3D, more like late 32-bit 2D about the graphics, even though they're 3D. Like, the main character, maybe it's because the load screen shows her sideways, kind of just like running forward. But that load screen just reminds me so much of something straight out of Oddworld, Ape's Odyssey. Mm-hmm. That, yeah, like, there's kind of this mental connection that I made between those two games, even though, like, the gameplay is completely different. Like, the character design has that quality of, like, vaguely cartoony, but also, kind of halfway between hand-drawn style cartoon and something out of, like, Donkey Kong Country, kind of the early 3D renders. And so, yeah, so I find the character design really appealing. The action of sucking up the gunk, is indeed pretty satisfying. But the game never really. I just recall, like, this one story that Johnny back in the day told of seeing. What was that game called? The Blob.
Yes.
And talking to the developer about it and asking, like, okay, so you go, you touch stuff, you color them, you paint them.
You blob.
Like, how does that evolve? What do you do? What else do you do? And the developer didn't really have an answer. And so, like, yeah, Johnny found it pretty limited. Personally, I think I liked the Blob more than he did, but I'm feeling that same kind of. Yeah, I have that same feeling about the Gunk here. There is one gameplay loop, and they never really go. Yeah, they don't really take it in other directions, other than the directions that we've already seen in games like Luigi's Mansion. Actually, there will be, some puzzles that involve using your vacuum to spin a wheel. Kind of a pinwheel kind of thing to move bridges around and whatnot. Like, we've seen this before. the level design does get maybe a tad bit more complicated towards the end, but you're still mostly doing the same stuff that you've been doing the whole game. The loop is very simple. You clean up the gunk, the flowers bloom or whatever. You get access to more resources with which you can upgrade your vacuum and your abilities, like your running speed and whatnot. And these flowers will often unfurl and just become platforms for you to reach the next part of the level. Mm-hmm. So it's very simple. I guess it doesn't need to be more complicated than that. This game is available on Game Pass, so you don't even have to pay for it. But yeah, like I guess I do recommend you check it out. If anything that I said about it, about like the art style or kind of like if you like Luigi's Mansion, I guess like already, like maybe you should check this out. It's a fun little game. It probably doesn't take years to complete for a regular, well-adjusted person. It probably takes less than 10 hours. So yeah, go do that, I suppose.
Go get
play it
gunked.
that way. Don't play it the way that I did.
Don't min-max for points.
Yeah, exactly. And how are we for time? Yeah, I think that's yeah. I'll save Final Fantasy VI for next time. I'll just say that I did not get to suplex the train, and
Damn it.
I'm very sad about that.
Did you even
But
play
I'll
the game?
explain. Yeah, I wonder. I'll explain what happened next
Okay.
week.
All right. John?
Yeah, so I've been playing through Circle of the Moon as part of the Advanced Collection. Really just one of those things where I was just like, man, I just want to play this again. You know?
Yeah.
Sure.
And I know, Guillaume, I saw some of your comments in Discord from maybe a couple of years ago where you played through that whole collection. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's interesting. It has this, of course, has the dual system setup or whatever it is with the cards and stuff. And it's pretty much exactly what I expected, just in terms of there's a couple of cards that are completely overpowered and the rest you'll probably never use. So I'm at Dracula at this point, and he's a bitch. He is really, really hard to beat. And from what I'm reading online, this is actually one of the hardest incarnations of Dracula in any of the Castlevania games, I guess. And I'm not saying he's impossible, but he does some attacks that are very hard to dodge just because he's so large. Yeah.
He's got a high hurt box.
Yeah, huge. And also very difficult. He seems to, he's this massive kind of flying thing at the end in his final form. And he tends to, he takes up so much of the screen, but I guess the one thing I want to make another run at it, which will be this weekend, is I guess you can, one of the powers that you get is you can kind of jump infinitely in the air. So I guess what some people were saying is that if you want to avoid him completely when he does when he kind of turns to stone and then flies around the screen, but the fact is he takes up about half of the screen, so he's just incredibly hard to dodge because you only have a couple platforms to jump on. But I guess you can, and this didn't occur to me, but you could jump right up to the top of the screen, and just avoid him completely doing that, apparently, which makes sense.
Oh, right, that battle.
Yes.
It is a bitch.
It is. It's a bitch.
But like you basically fly off screen and avoid him that way. It's I remember now.
Yeah, and that seems like a lot of this game where there is one thing you can do to make the bosses completely trivial. But also they said that the thing to use against him is I think it's the what is it? Uranus and one of the card combinations. All of the Uranus cards there, they let you attack the entire screen. They're one of those full screen attacks where, some sort of monster comes up and the entire screen, like fireballs hit everything on the screen. So apparently that makes that boss trivial. But there's other bosses where the right card combination, especially the combination that lets you just stand still in one place and you just regenerate health based on your magic. That makes things really trivial too. But you need it a lot near the end of the game because some of the areas are frankly just a complete bitch to get through. So it's good to be able to just chill off in a corner where nothing's attacking you and regenerate your health. But I'm enjoying it, even though I will say, though, more so than something like Symphony of the Night, it really feels like this is a bunch of busy work collecting power-ups, and then you're just on to the next boss. And I don't know, I can't really pinpoint exactly what it is versus something like Symphony of the Night, where Symphony of the Night doesn't feel like that. But this one really feels like a lot of the time I'm just running around avoiding enemies. Maybe it's the dash attack or something like that, or the fact that you're constantly dashing and you can avoid enemies relatively easily just by jumping over them. But it really just feels like most of the time I'm just running around getting the next power up. And then I just get a bunch of power ups and then it's just on to the next boss. So, but I mean,
the Symphony of the Night had more secrets. It had more rooms where you didn't necessarily have anything to do, or maybe there was a secret thing that you could do, like the confessional. I still don't know what the big deal. If there's a secret there, I don't know what it is. It's just this weird room where you can go and sit into the confessional thing, and then you get attacked by ghosts or something.
I think you're right, though. It feels like there was kind of more to figure out in Symphony of the Night. Or more stuff where you're saying, I'm going to need this to get there, and then you get that thing so you can solve that part of it, but then you realize that, there's another thing that I need to get. So there's, whereas in Circle of the Moon, the puzzles are very one-dimensional. Oh, you get this power, so now you can push this box and open up this hallway. And that's it.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot of box pushing. There's at least one room that's just a box pushing puzzle. And it's
my favorite.
Yeah, you don't get that in Symphony of the Night, I don't think.
No, it is the box pushing fest on Steam right now, so,
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a little bit one-dimensional from that standpoint. It doesn't feel quite as... Whereas Symphony of the Night really does feel, very Super Metroid-y in that it's very, they really do a good job of laying out, kind of trickling out your powers. It's just the feel of it. This is very much like, you killed this boss gives you this power, you can now push this box, and you can go into this new area, and you'll run around and get a bunch of power-ups, and then it's on to the next boss. And then that boss gives you a power-up. Now you can go down this hallway, and it's sort of rinse and repeat. So it's smaller in scale, but I still think that would be my main criticism of it. It's a little bit predictable, and it doesn't feel like there's as much to figure out. So, but it's still good. The music is really good.
It is really good
for a Game Boy Advance game. It's really, really good. And I do like the dual setup system. I don't know why they call it the dual setup system. It just seems so silly, and I don't know.
It feels like that should be on a DS game, doesn't it?
Right? Yeah, I guess so. Right. I forgot that whole era where everything had to be
Deadly Shadows.
Deadly Shadows, or oh man, those were the days.
Dumb shit posting.
Yeah, dumb shit. That was that whole era. That was the DS era, the dumb shit era. So. Yeah.
Dragon Song. By the way, Guillaume, that's our episode title. It's the dumb shit era.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I knew it when he said it.
Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword, right? Yeah.
Dragon Sword, yeah.
Yeah. So it's the DS era, indeed. So, no, but I mean, it's enjoyable. And I think I will probably move on to Harmony of Dissonance. But I think, Guillaume, I think that's probably the weakest of the three, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, what's the next one? Not Portrait of Ruin. That's
Area of Sorrow.
Yes. All right. That's the third one.
Yeah, I think
Harmony of Dissonance is the middle one, and that one had its own little problems, but I guess you'll figure that out when you...
I will.
if you play through it.
Yeah.
It's got like basically the two castle system, but it doesn't tell you at first. Mm-hmm. And then there's some. I just remember having to read an FAQ, and it's a pain in the ass to navigate.
Yeah,
because you'll have to go something like with the portals, and you have to take portal A1 to get to A2 and then a different portal to get to B1, because there are two different worlds. And anyway, look forward to that.
Yeah.
Yay.
Sounds fun. Yeah, but I mean, I'm enjoying it. It's a nice little trip back in time. So
cool. All right. Well, speaking of music, that sounds good on the GBA. That's going to do it for us this week. And Greg has sent me many options in terms of what music to select, but he had one that he wanted to point to in particular. And let me get his exact notes on this because I want to make sure I don't misquote him. So regarding music for tonight's episode, I thought we might go with something from the Fire Emblem series to roughly coincide with the 35th anniversary hitting on April 20th. And then he asked me, what music to go with, noting he sent me a list of what we've used in the past 10 years we've been doing this music selection component. And he notes, a section from Sacred Stones would be natural enough, given that it went up on the expansion pack. It came out on the expansion pack service this week. Though I have to say that I'm a bit surprised we haven't used anything from Awakening over all this time. My Sacred Stone pick, and this is what I went with as well, Truth, Despair, and Hope. And even though it's a bit hampered by the GPA's modest instrument quality and generally compressed sound, I think it's pretty effective. I agree, actually. So I had some other options, but ultimately I went with this one because I agree. He's right. This is a interesting track put together by the very limited hardware of the single GBA speaker. And on that, it is time for us to go right as his Bills, John, right as his Bills are making the pick. Is that Kismet? Is this a sign he could have done the show and not missed their single draft pick?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
He didn't miss all the other draft picks, though. He does care about them all. Mm-hmm. By the way, John, do you see that your team traded up?
Yes, but they're not really my team anymore, so don't really care.
John changed his team.
Loyalty.
John changed his team like I changed
no, there's
socks.
plenty of loyalty. Loyalty to a stupid degree. I finally wised up. I mean, don't get me started on this rant.
The man is on his third NHL team though, so
yeah,
it's fun.
But I mean, I made bad choices. The thing is, I'm smart enough to admit that I made bad choices.
I mean, I give you at least one.
Not that cheering for the Rangers is actually a good choice either.
No, it's just like this is clapping when the Empire takes over Hoth. Yay!
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I have
team
to
that
say
should have every advantage, but still manages to fail. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they are the New York Knicks, pretty much. But hey, what's the common denominator there? James Dolan. Hey.
Oh God, that's right. Jesus, what's wrong with you?
James Dolan, he's a terrible owner.
John is deeply involved in the "I can fix him" mentality. Apparently,
no, I'm not. But it's just pretty funny because it's nice coming to a team and seeing people that have suffered for so long, and I'm just like, whatever. Who cares?
These are my people.
Yeah, it's like
I could never be hurt again after the Caps won a title. Like you remember how bad I was after every Rangers series? It was just like, oh, James is distraught. It's fine.
Yeah. Well,
but then they can flame out in 4. I don't care.
This is exactly it, right? So I mean, that's the thing. Like I actually did, even though I wasn't really cheering for the Rangers actively when they did win the title in '94. I watched that entire series on television. So
you can't.
Like I've seen them win the Stanley Cup. So
that's true.
I'm cool. I don't really need anything else. It's just like the Braves. Like I've seen the Braves win the World Series a couple of times. If they flame out and do dumb crap, I don't care.
There you go. So I got to the Caps win a title. That took all the pain away. And as it was starting to slowly inch back in, I got to see the goals record. I'm good again. I'm good for like 4 more years. It's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
That's the thing. It's just I don't ask for much. But, from my teams up to this point, I've got nothing. So
I followed Washington sports and the Reds.
Yeah.
Like, I signed up for an inordinate amount of pain myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's fine. It's fine. I love watching Wizards basketball. That's a lie. That's a fucking lie.
I don't know how. Hey, my Pistons are actually good again against all odds. I mean,
They went from winning 14 games to 44. So
it gives me hope. It gives me hope.
I don't know. So there you go.
All right. Well, on that, as the very last pick of the night is about to roll through, it is time for us to go. Bye, everybody.
Later.
Bye.